Do you ever wish your day wasn't dictated by your health? Are you tired of being tired all the time, or is pain holding you back from enjoying your time with your family? Would you like to manage your symptoms holistically, but you just don't know where to begin? I am so excited that you're here. This podcast will help you understand how natural remedies work so you can relieve your symptoms and live a fuller life. My name is Penny. I'm an occupational therapist, past pharmaceutical rep, a mom, and a wife with a strong faith, and for 25 years, I battled through debilitating Crohn's disease. I took all the medicine and did all the surgeries that stole so much time with my family, but never truly healed me. I finally realized if I was going to survive this disease, I needed to open my stubborn eyes to alternative solutions. I researched how perfectly our bodies work with plants and a lifestyle that made my health less of a burden to my family and aligned so beautifully with my faith and my medical training. If you're ready to reclaim your life with holistic options that are easy to implement as a busy mom and provide relief that lasts, this is the podcast for you. Hey there, Becoming Natural fans. Wow, how this week has flown. If this week is start of school for any of you mamas out there, bless you. I remember when my 3 boys were littles, I was always excited to get back on a schedule and have a little bit of self-time. This week, I launched my second to college, and while I know without a doubt that he's ready to fly, I remember those first days of preschool and elementary like they were just yesterday, and I yearn for those sweet moments desperately. No one prepares you to launch the child you spent the last 18 or 19 years keeping in full focus, safe, fed, and alive. I lived my life counting to 3. 1, 2, 3 heads, 1, 2, 3 heads, everywhere I went, making sure everybody was accounted for. And now I have just launched 2 of those 3 little heads, now handsome, young, capable men. Jesus, take the wheel, please. Our caboose is at our house, started his first day of school yesterday as a sophomore in high school. So I get to just bask in the glory of having one child and attend to every need. He may not love all that attention, but he is loving being the only child currently, maybe a little bit too much. So here we go together. This week, we are starting school, which is also a great time to get organized, create better habits, and start new things. We are in it together. And as I prepare to flip the switch, so to say, on my new platform, which I pray is completely seamless on your end, but it's a mighty big thing on my end, I am taking Becoming Natural back to the very first episode this week. I am in awe of the new listeners that I have. Thank you so much to each of you for your support on this crazy ride. If you only knew how funny it is that of all people, I am doing this, and beyond that, absolutely loving it. I look forward to my time to research and record more than anything in my day now. While I know that people have picked up and started listening well after Becoming Natural began last September, I feel like my history and background and how the heck I got here is kind of important to know. So my bullet point summary is that I'm not perfect and I don't take myself too seriously. Any step in the right direction is a good one. I have or had serious and severe Crohn's disease and was dying a slow death, actually, before I realized I had to do something different than what I had been doing for 20 plus years, even if it meant eating a little bit of crow and trying something new, especially if it's something that I had previously poked fun of. I'm also an occupational therapist. I'm trained in the medical model. I took all the drugs. I did all the surgeries. I poo-pooed all natural remedies because I was just too sick. I was too far gone. Nothing natural could help me. And gratefully, my stubborn eyes got opened somehow. I don't know how, by the grace of God, but it was not overnight and it's still happening. I am still a slow progression in awe of the things that are improving in my life while I continue to allow time and new knowledge a chance. In the process, I have become certified as an integrative health practitioner, and I continue to work on more and more certification in that department because I am fascinated by our amazing bodies. So join me today listening to my short story and how this little space came to be. I think most important to me that you know is that I am still a work in progress. I am nowhere close to perfect, but always striving for improvement. I am still unlearning old ways I thought were best and learning new ways to help myself while still applying the good things that we have learned through solid and valuable growth in Western medicine. There are some really great things about Western medicine. I do not dismiss modern medicine. We just have to learn how to use discernment for what is best for our bodies if we want them to last. Finally, just know that I am not a doctor. I am not attempting to treat anyone, and always consult your practitioner before making major changes to your own health. I am just here to share my story, not only of getting healthy from a lifetime of illness, but my faith and miracles that we witness through the amazing power of prayer and the things that I continue to learn that leave me in absolute awe of our incredibly intricate bodies, coupled with the incredibly intricate gift of nature to support these miraculously created bodies that are truly a symphony of complexities every second of every day. So I hope you enjoy the next couple minutes hearing my story and how it all began. Have a great day. Hi there. Welcome to episode 1. They say to start dirty, so there is nowhere to go but up. I wanted to start my first episode with introducing myself, providing a little history of where I came from and why in the world I started a podcast. Why did I go from no way to okay? Today's podcast might be a little longer than my usual 20 minutes, just to take the time to share my vision and my why. I think I might surprise you. All my life, I've surprised my doctors, so why not you too? I'm just a regular mom with a big and always growing faith and 3 handsome teenage boys that mean the world to me. I have 2 very entertaining dogs, and I am a wife to a wonderful husband who literally cannot walk into a hospital without an anxiety attack. He put his best foot forward when we had babies, but it was still a comical struggle. Bless his heart for the lemon that he got in a wife, because he has put that fear to the test over and over again. Meanwhile, I love the hospital. We are the perfect balance as I get calm in crises, which is not what I can say for him. He is the numbers guy, and I love him for it because that I am not. I am an occupational therapist that finds the hospital to be my second home. I absolutely love my job. I love being with critical patients and the challenge of helping people recover from a critical healthcare crisis. I have practiced in many different settings over the course of my career, but my favorite type of patients are in the most critical stage of their injury when they've had traumatic brain injury. Straight off the news and into the ICU. And that may sound totally crazy, but what amazes me most about our bodies that were indeed created to heal is that our brains have a very orderly stage of healing in the same way you might be aware that we heal through predictable stages of grief, for instance. There is a divine and organized pattern to a healing body that I recognized, and it created a deep desire for me to connect the dots between the process of physical healing and how our bodies are so beautifully and divinely connected to the earth, thus thriving on the things that are created by God and healing when we use those gifts appropriately. I was not always so aware, you might say, even so far as to say I was completely cynical and made fun of these things, kind of about all that hippie stuff. I have certainly come a very long way. Before I was ever an OT, I was battling what was ultimately diagnosed as Crohn's disease when I was 24, but it took many years to get there. My symptoms started as a teen and progressively got worse over the next 20 years. When I was finally diagnosed in the late 1990s and working in an acute care hospital with a level 1 trauma center, I had never once heard of Crohn's disease. And now it's a household name. I'm sure you've heard of it too. So why is that? Why the drastic change? I plan to dive into that in another episode. I had 2 serious reconstructive surgeries of my stomach while I was still working in that hospital. I was frustrated that I had restrictions with lifting my patients, and a job as a pharmaceutical rep landed in my lap. So for that stage of my life, my body needed less of a physical job, so I took it. I sold one of the best-selling acid-reducing pills that I'm sure everybody knows on the market. While I missed being in the thick of the excitement of the hospital, which I loved, I actually really enjoyed being outside of the hospital in the world during the day and seeing another angle of the medical industry, talking to doctors in their offices versus in the ICUs, and learning their prescribing behaviors of the medications that they were prescribing for my patients in the hospital. I soon got married and I had my 3 boys, and my health continued to decline despite trying my hardest to be the best mom and wife that I could be. Outside of my health issues, I had a dream life. Every GI doctor and every ologist that I had, which I had a lot of ologists, always took the best care of me. I had great relationships with all of my doctors, as I was still in a time when a young girl was not the most common patient in the GI office. I saw specialists all over the country. And I know that they were doing the best for me that they knew at the time, but it still wasn't enough. I ultimately had 80% of my stomach removed in 2015 with a subsequent battle for my life when I became severely septic after that surgery. Those were the dark days that really changed my life, reaffirmed my deeply rooted faith, and probably most people who loved me and my family. It was an incredibly difficult time, yet incredibly spiritual And while I might say it was the worst time of my life, it was actually the best time of my life. Somewhere after my third child was born and before I became so ill, my eyes were opened, albeit very slowly, to the fact that I was dying a slow death, truthfully. All jokes aside, I was hardcore medical model. I went to school at one of the top hospitals in the nation among doctors who were performing the firsts of something in their discipline. I loved the medical field. I could feel it. And had I not been so sick after OT school, I would have gone on to medical school. I took the drugs. I encouraged the meds for my patients to help them be as comfortable as possible for therapy, and I peddled the drugs in a doctor's office. I've experienced every perspective, and I don't think it was by accident. I think the Lord was just giving me nuggets at every stage to stick in my arsenal for the future. I asked why for the first time I was on a drug that suppressed my immune system, that made my gums start bleeding. I got a ganglion cyst, and I was hospitalized twice for pneumonia before they finally took me off of that drug. But when I asked why, I started thinking, why in the world would I want to suppress my immune system and open my body up to such potentially harmful side effects? I had excruciating pain with Crohn's disease. The meds helped only a little bit, but by no means were they healing me. And I was bouncing from drug to drug. They were simply covering up symptoms of the larger illness that we were coming nowhere close to healing, actually. Around that time, I asked my crazy essential oil friend, who knows who she is, before everyone knew about essential oils, how to help my bleeding gums, how to help my cyst, and even the fluid that I had on my lungs that they couldn't clear from my lungs after many rounds of antibiotics. While I was skeptical, I did what she said, and I was shocked that not only did they work for every situation, even my doctors were stunned when I was able to cancel a pleurocentesis that was supposed to remove all that extra fluid off my lungs. And my dentist, he thought he had the wrong chart based on the improvement in my gums. In my eyes, I was blown away, but everything needed a good scientific study as proof. But who studies essential oils? When those oils worked, I had to know it wasn't snake oil. If I was going to believe in something, I had to know that it really did work. I began to take a deep dive into plants. I went college textbook studying botany. I studied anything I could get my hands on to explain why plant qualities were created for whatever reason. I knew God gave us a garden, and I knew it was for a reason. I just needed to understand it and how the plants worked with our bodies. I learned about terpenes, sesquiterpenes, flavonoids, and the essential oils of plants, what an essential oil actually is, because it's become so cliche. I had to know what that meant. And actually how they truly worked in our bodies just as they worked for the plant. To prevent bacteria, to keep bugs away, to increase antioxidants, to protect plants from their environments or their enemies, and 1,000 other things. I discovered that these qualities of a plant actually were qualities that worked perfectly and helped humans, which seems to make perfect sense because God made us both, but that was very new to me. We witnessed miracles in my healing of a disease that supposedly can't be healed, one that I was determined to beat, but it nearly got the best of me. Once I made a full recovery, which took quite a while, several years, my minister told me that my miracles were not meant to keep to myself, but to find a way to share them with those who prayed for me so that their faith could be increased, to see how their prayers were answered, and to share with anyone who would listen about the depths of despair that we experienced, yet only God brought me out of that pit. I absolutely love sharing the faith piece of my story. I had incredible doctors and nurses who shed tears over me. I even had a cleaning lady that would come into my room and pray with me when I was in the hospital. The doctor who saved my life, I know, fought harder for me than anyone else would have. To be that young and grow so incredibly in my faith and my marriage and my perspective on life was truly a gift that I always knew that I wanted to share. What I really want to be is the go-to podcast for moms who want to clean up their lifestyle and get control of their health. I feel like there is so much to preventing the onset of disease as much as there is to treating it. So why not get ahead of it? Being a mom with chronic illness is not for the weary, and I would love nothing more than to share all the things that I wish I had known 20 years ago, because I am fully convinced I could have saved myself and my family a whole lot of grief. God must have planted some superpowers in me, and the prayers that were prayed for me, over 25 years of prayers, they sustained me because I never gave up. Much like taking forever and waking up to the crazy plant side of healing, I was very stubborn. I was not going to let that disease beat me. I had 3 kids in car seats. If I didn't feel good or I needed to throw up, which happened frequently, I pulled over, threw up, continued on my way to our activities. I wanted so desperately to be a normal mom. I didn't want to sit at home and focus on being sick. And most of all, I didn't want my kids to suffer because I couldn't do something. As I continue to study, I continue to find things we have in our otherwise healthy lives that can actually cause long-term problems for us. Sickness, illness, endocrine blockers, toxins. It is unbelievable how dirty the world is that we're living in. I've learned it's not just about diet and exercise, but about removing things from our lives as well. We have to be so vigilant, and it can become incredibly overwhelming. I decided to start this podcast to address those who are searching for ways to be a better friend to their body, women who want to eliminate toxins from your life or simply just don't feel your best and you don't know why, moms who want to make cleaner choices for their family but don't know where to begin. As moms and women, we tend to make the decisions for our family, and I only hope I didn't learn too late to make an impact on my boys to always ask questions, to always be skeptical. And sadly, I hope they learned that not everyone or every company is working for the good of our bodies. I tried to heal my body, taking all the medications and doing all the surgeries, and I still found myself in a broken and debilitated shell of a body. When I realized I was years into a lifelong disease, only getting worse, when my doctors actually ran out of answers, I was dependent upon medication that wasn't helping me and painkillers that simply made me not care about the pain, and I was completely desperate. I was tired of feeling bad all the time, unable to eat when I wanted to, always on a liquid diet, missing out on my kids' activities, and spending my life in doctor's appointments. If I was going to get healthy, I needed to open my mind to alternative solutions that maybe I once thought were ridiculous, but I had no other options. With a little bit of research, I found strategies that worked and actually provided incredible relief. I slowly embraced a new holistic lifestyle that made sense with how I knew the body worked, how it so beautifully aligned with my faith, and how our bodies were truly designed to heal when given the proper environment. I have a unique perspective, having been trained in the medical model, encouraging those medications so my patients could be comfortable in therapy, peddling the top acid-reducing pills, among others, as a pharmaceutical rep. And I took every medication under the sun for my illness, and I never asked questions. I completely trusted the system. What I am not anti-all medicine. I believe we have made huge strides in Western medicine, but I do think we jump too quickly to take medicine, not allowing our bodies to do its thing naturally. I am far from perfect. I am not a diehard health nut, and I don't eat a perfect diet, although I'm trying. I am not an exercise guru and work out 2 hours every day, but I do love to exercise, and I believe in moderation of everything in life so that every change we make can be easy and sustainable until we can add another change, and then another, and another. And before long, we can look back and see how far we have come, and it seemed so simple. I will always be a work in progress, and I do not profess to know it all. I'm just a mom who understands how the body works and loves to read a good science journal or a medical review in my spare time. I am obsessed with personal growth, and I love to research whatever interests me at the time. I like facts, and I like testimonies, but most importantly, I like results. I have done a 180 by opening my mind to the benefits or even the harm of what goes on in and around my body. I have never dramatically thrown out all the food in my pantry or pills in my medicine cabinet, but I do love to learn each day how to read labels with fresh eyes, how to treat my body holistically first before we rush to the doctor's office. When it's time for a refill, I am working on replacing a potentially harmful product with a quality product. My goal is for every step to be a step in the right direction. Small, achievable steps are more likely to lead to success than dramatic actions that cannot be sustained over time. Everything I do, you can do too. I am totally normal and totally fallible, down to drinking, you got it, a daily Coke. Please don't judge. My kids are trying to get me off of that. In each episode of Becoming Natural, I hope to share a piece of my redemptive story, tips and tricks I have learned to help me make better health decisions, and there is no way to separate any of that from the incredible faith journey that I have taken over 25 years of praying and having faith that I knew that I would be healed. In this podcast, I will share with you simple food swaps, how I addressed my chronic illness and symptoms naturally, how I eliminated harmful household chemicals and saved money while doing it, when you can use plants as medicine, how your emotions, whether good or bad, play a massive role in your health, the incredible value of preventative health, how my faith played a role in my own healing journey, how you can support a loved one with a chronic illness, how I tapped into the earth for healing, and so much more. If you're ready to start living clean in a dirty world, follow me and never miss an episode of Becoming Natural. Let's dig in and let's get this podcast started. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, hit that follow button, leave a 5-star review if you're so willing, and help spread the message of Becoming Natural by sharing it with a friend. Check out the resources in the show notes and join the email list to stay on top of all the latest and greatest happenings at Becoming Natural as we roll out exciting new things while we grow. Until next time, take those baby steps to a more natural life and always give yourself grace. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. See you next week.